Our next question from Catherine Garza.
Thank you. Changing the subject, the Greener report advocated a number of changes in the town regarding our fire departments and emergency services, including possible consolidation. Why are local emergency responders up in arms? And is there a foundation for their concerns?
Mr. Morandi, if you could go first.
Well, that's a good question on why they are up in arms. I believe it's in living in a small town and having preconception of what this study was all about. It was a study that had major problems from the beginning because of attitudes, and then the results of it were incomplete because of the inability of Mr. Grainer to have all the facts brought to him for reasons compounded by his scathing report, which didn't add to it. So why they're up in arms at the beginning, I think that's small town type politics. I think it was preconceived notions. And as far as the study and as far as consolidation goes, I don't believe that's what the study was intended for in the first place.
Thank you. Councilwoman Scucciamaro.
I think it's all about communication. These volunteers do a wonderful service for our community, and most of these volunteers have been doing this for years and years and years. And yes, they have their small groups that, you know, the fire departments have their little groups, but they're a family. And they have nothing but the best interests of our community at heart. And I think if it was communicated better, I think the whole outcome of this report would have had a different scenario.
Thank you. Councilwoman Montgomery.
I think if we were to communicate better, it would have required a full-time job. We can go back and check the town records. You can foil anything you want, or you could just ask me. You can go back to July 2009, where we passed a resolution. You'll find it in the minutes. Passed a resolution giving me support to apply for the grant. MOUs were distributed by the town clerk, who is charged with administering all the information and the financial information and collecting all the data for this grant. Numerous letters, numerous phone calls. All the letters went to the same place where these departments got their checks. So communication was there. They chose not to communicate back. That was unfortunate, but the lack of information provided spoke volumes to me, and it opened the door for the need for us getting together. Consolidation to me is just another political word like smart growth. It's going to go away someday. I never intended it to be for consolidation. We have great history in our departments. I would just really like to make sure that this service is sustainable and that we can keep our volunteers and our community safe.
Thank you.
I think that study may have went in with the best of intentions in looking out for the safety of the residents and also the volunteers. But the problem was there was no communication. Letters and phone calls, if you don't go there and tell them what your intentions are, yes, they are going to be up in arms when they have somebody knocking on their door and asking them all these questions. So I think it all boils down to communication and taking those extra steps and communicating with the volunteers and the EMS and even our residents to explain what the intentions were. And I think that's why now we have a report which essentially is not complete, and all goes down to communication and taking those extra steps and following through.
Thank you. Our next question will come from Lois Powell.
Rebuttals, please. Rebuttals.
I'm sorry. Let's continue again.
It's a debate. Remember that.
I am. Mr. Morandi.
Note for the future, bring more microphones. I think that the one thing that's always missed on this is the responsibility of the town board, and especially in this day and age where our economy is where it is, It's their responsibility to find out how $2.1 million is being spent, and it's being spent effectively. And that's part of what this study was done. And the study was done at no cost to the community through a grant. So, and absolutely, I don't think there's anyone on this board that doesn't have respect, total respect for the volunteers in these towns. That's not the question at all.
Councilwoman Scucciamore?
It goes back to communication. Their Continental Village Fire Department came to us well into the study thinking that this was all about consolidation, which it wasn't. And yes, we did have a grant for most of this, but now we're hiring a mediator so we can get all these people together in a room and communicate. I think that's a problem.
Councilwoman Montgomery?
Communication goes both ways, and as I said, if you'd like to ask me to provide copies of everything that went out, documentation of phone calls, I'd be happy to do that. But, you know, we as citizens have to take responsibility for what happens in our town, as I did for my lifetime, as I now take great responsibility as a town board member. I took great responsibility as a volunteer. Being a volunteer did not make me you know, it didn't discount that I didn't have to step up and play my part as well. I'm not criticizing our volunteers. I was one of them. I played an active role in the ambulance corps. I know what they do. I know how hard they work. I know how much time they have to train, and I know the challenges that they're going to face in the future.
Thank you.
I want to go back to where there was no cost. There absolutely was a cost to this. We now have the fire departments and the EMS that are divided now, and they're upset. And as Barbara said, we had to hire a mediator. So there was a lot of cost that ended up being involved in this report due to failed communication.
I don't know if you noticed all the press and the papers and
Hold on.
the trainings they've done, but there's been
Just a moment here.
Sure.
Mr. Marco was speaking, and her time's about up, and then we're going to move to another question.
So I just want to say there was a lot of cost involved because we spent a lot of town dollars at the meetings. We had to pay a mediator. So there was cost involved here, taxpayer dollars. Failed communication.